Yes, I was on the trial. Which is why I have the whip counter and objection counter already up. June 22nd, 9:51 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3.
Nick,
Yeah?
did you know that Von Karma's daughter is only 18? Just like me?
Kicks open the courtroom doors. Objection! Hey, Darth. Yeah? Why?
I was just thinking about how strong she is. I mean, she's been in Germany all this time, all by herself, and she's so grown up.
I mean, her father might have been there with her until a year ago when we got him in jail because he was evil. And you haven't had your... I don't know. I feel like Maya's being a little bit unfair to herself. But... yeah. And I'm sure she felt a lot of pressure from her father's reputation.
And then you look at me and, well, I'm the daughter of the master, but I'm still just a little girl. And on top of that, I'm the suspect in a murder trial.
Now that's not true, Maya. You're the suspect in a murder trial again. But I think you're really strong too, Maya, for all you've gone through. I appreciate how Phoenix thought that and didn't in fact tell the distraught teenage girl the comforting statement that he had in his head.
Good morning. The two of you look like you're doing well today. I'm happy for you. Hey, morning, Pearly. You'll be safe today, Mystic Maya. Huh? What do you mean? My mother is coming today to show her support. Yeah, that's right, Pearly.
Hey, Pearls?
Yes, Mr. Nick?
Do you think you could do me a big favor? Could you channel Mia today, too? Before we go in there and we see that your mother is... nothing?
Huh? I was sort of hoping to sit in the audience today and watch.
Please. It's very important to me. I don't feel confident enough without her help.
Mr. Nick, that's enough. You can't show weakness in front of the person you love.
Pearly, not this again. Please, can you do this for us, Pearls?
Alright, I'll do it. I'll do it for Mystic Maya's sake. See you later then. I'll leave you two to your alone time.
Thank goodness. I need an adult. Mia in Pearl's body. I am an adult.
Nick?
This way, Pearls won't be able to see today's trial.
What do you mean? What's going on?
I actually do, like, for as much as Phoenix is kind of a mess, I appreciate, one, that he obviously understands that Morgan is going to be doing some bad things, and two, he actually figures out, like, well, I mean, if Pearl channels Mia, that means that the 8-year-old girl doesn't need to see her mother trying to get her older sister figure put in jail for life. No, correction, killed. Although maybe not, actually. In fairness, the way this was set up, we could have just pled for justified self-defense. I'm being too nice to Morgan Fay. June 22nd, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Court is now in session for the trial of Maya Fay. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Let's start already. Mr. Phoenix Wright, I look forward to tonight's news with with great joy. The image of your defeated face will be transmitted all over the world. All over the world, huh? Sounds like you've made quite a name for yourself, Phoenix.
I'm so confused why this game seems to think self-defense is a guilty verdict. It's really funny too, because part of it's the court of public opinion, right? The idea is you've still killed someone, so people are still going to treat you like you're a murderer, even though you've just defended yourself instead. But especially for a lot of people, that's still a lot of weight to carry. Now, I think in the final case of this game and going forward, although I can't remember how consistent Phoenix is about it, it comes up more with Edgeworth, as we've seen in his game. It gets more to like, what you really are trying to find is the truth. It just so happens that the truth most of the time is getting an innocent person to not be considered guilty at all. But yeah, the point I'm making though is that usually actually just being accused of a crime is bad enough anyways. But, you know, not guilty of anything is the nicer thing to go for.
Don't be foolish, you foolish fool wearing the foolishly foolish clothes. The famous one is me. I'm the prodigy who has never lost a case since becoming a prosecutor 5 years ago. And naturally, the world's eyes are on me as I conduct my first trial in this country. Aha. That's nice, Miss Von Karma. Glad to see you're in such good spirits today, Miss Faye.
Also, was that... I'm already failing the whip counter. That wasn't a full whip though, right? Or did she whip it and then hold it? Oh, it's true what they say. Women really are scary when they fight. I mean, she lives in an isolated community of people who can literally channel the bird person's spirit and ask them, did you try and kill Maya? Or did Maya try and kill you? It is weird, but also it's very uncertain, and the game is unclear to a degree how many like channelers of the crane technique there are. Like, I guess the idea is the other ones can occasionally pull it off or something. I don't know. A very interesting theory was presented during yesterday's session.
That the defendant could have left the channeling chamber, correct?
Yes. And this key is proof of that. This key, the only key to the channeling chamber, was not where it should have been.
Your Honor, I would like to say one thing before we begin.
Alright, let's hear it.
The prosecution has determined that from the time of the murder to the time of arrest, the defendant did indeed leave the room at one point.
What? Like, how connected is Maya's home to the rest of Japanifornia? Well, assuming this takes place in Tokyo / I guess it's LA in Japanifornia? We've heard that her home is 2 hours away, which is not really that far, but also it's like, I mean, 2 hours is still quite a ways, and I think it's like 2 hours away. It's by train, but I assume it's not like bullet train. I don't even know if the bullet train has a 2-hour thing if it goes that far. So it's a little ways off the beaten path, but not that far.
But, Miss Von Karma, then how do you explain this picture? Are you saying then that the person in this picture is not the defendant?
I never said that wasn't the defendant.
One second, I can actually answer that. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I figure that's pretty look-upable.
But what is the meaning of this?
All I'm saying is that Maya Fey, after killing the victim, exited the room. And I believe that is when she dropped this key.
Can you substantiate your claim?
Isn't that what I'm here for? The prosecution would like to call the defendant Aunt Morgan Fey to the stand. Just as I suspected. Aunt Morgan.
Poor Mia. She seems really torn by this. So a bullet train from Tokyo to Osaka is roughly 2 hours. Okay. Now, I don't think it's necessarily by bullet train. I assume they have some older lines that are not quite as... Although I don't know, actually. I know a lot of Japans arrive late to Crown. Hey, Captain. It's been 14 years since I was on one. Like, I know Japan has a good rail system, but I have to assume it still has some older lines that don't go quite as fast, so... So I had to Google it. I see 2 hours, 16 minutes. Yeah, that sounds right. I feel like if someone says something's 2 hours by train, that covers like an hour, 45 minutes to like 2.5 hours, give or take. Well, there were a lot of normal trains. Yeah, see? But the point is here, I think while Crane, like, Maya's hometown is kind of separated and out in the rural district a little bit, it's not, like, super far away.
A witness, name and occupation. My name is Morgan Fay, and I am a spirit medium in a manner of speaking.
I'm sorry, but what do you mean in a manner of speaking? I'm... Ah.
Okay, this is definitely a whipping moment. Train I took to go to the Japanese high school was a normal train. Okay. When 2 stops away from the station, I got on the train.
I don't think anyone really cares. Now then, after the murder took place, you kept watch over the defendant, correct? Yes, that is correct. I performed the spirit severing technique on Mystic Maya then.
Spirit severing technique?
A technique to remove a spirit from a body and send it back to the other world, that is.
Yes, that is.
Oof. You, be quiet. Now, witness, something happened while you were performing this technique, correct? Yes, that is correct.
What in the world could have...
Mystic Maya, she escaped from the room.
What?
And here we... And here we come to the heart of the matter. Maya Fey, while in a possessed state, managed to escape from the channeling chamber.
I guess I'll count that as a whip. I think we said I could count that, so... Also, man, I made a bad choice with Morgan Fay.
Border. Miss Fay, please testify to the court what happened during that time.
Your Honor, I will try my best. I think someone just upped the ante on this trial.
Maya's escape.
After we heard the gunshots, those 2 broke the door open and entered the chamber. I requested that Mr. Wright and the other lady please contact the police. A pistol was hanging from Mystic Maya's hand, and she was in a daze. Then, quite suddenly, she thrusted me away from herself and escaped from the room. With great strength, she hit the base of my neck and I fainted for a short while. I'm afraid I have no knowledge of where she went after that.
Why have you hidden this until now?
I did not wish to cause more trouble for Mystic Maya. However, I must correct falsities when they arise.
That's right. She is simply correcting a falsity, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Why is she making it a point to take a stab at... Never mind.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
My aunt is a very smart and sly person. It's going to be hard for us to find a crack in her testimony. Yeah, this is one of those things too, because Francisca will whip a lot of people, so it's always a good indication of how serious the witness and opponent is, because I'm pretty sure she doesn't whip Morgan much, if at all, because she's meant to be the intimidating figure of this. Although we might see it some with Eni too, because obviously Eni's gonna get called to the stand at some point too. Maya's escape.
After we heard the gunshots, those two broke the door open and entered the chamber.
Just now, you said those two. Who were the two people you were referring to?
I was referring to that foreign lady and yourself, good sir.
Zlata's not a foreigner, despite how she talks. Which games has the Cyclops-looking coffee addict? It's only the one game. Well, unless he comes up in investigations too. I have no idea of knowing that or not. That is Godot, and he is the third game.
Oh, is that so? I'm sorry. I simply could not understand her atrocious English, not to mention she looked awful.
I can already see people in the Heartland gearing up for a riot.
In any case, I have already sent the repair bill to your office, Mr. Wright.
Oh, thanks.
What did you do after that, Miss Fair?
I requested that Mr. Wright and the other lady please contact the police.
Was it really necessary to have two people do something so simple as call the police? If there was a possibility of escape, then one of us should have stayed behind.
Yes, that is a very good point.
At that time, I myself was a little confused. On top of which, there was another...
Another what, madam?
Oh, it's nothing. No need to concern yourself.
I want to hear the end of that sentence. I just remember my friend having a wallpaper on his laptop with an image of that character going, "Have a nice cup of fuck you." Yeah. That's a pretty classic kind of joke, right? I'm pretty sure we've all seen the coffee mug with the image of someone drinking from the coffee, and it's like, how about you have a nice cup of shut the fuck up? Stuff like that. I guess it's because the idea of coffee drinkers is they're casually also assholes. Now I'm thinking about my family and I'm like, yeah, that scans if I think about it. At least in my personal experience. I want to hear the end of that sentence. Question further. There was another reason you wanted both of us out of that room, wasn't there? You must testify. Why did you chase us out of the room?
I simply did not wish for there to be more victims. The lives of both the good sir and that camera woman may be in danger, is what I thought to myself.
Well, that was very noble of you, Miss Fair.
Oh, this is bad. Now people have a good impression of her and a bad one of us. Looks like she caught us napping. That's my aunt for you.
Are you satisfied now, Mr. Wright? Miss Faye, please continue.
Fortunately, the game doesn't punish you for those. Or at least, the game is very good about warning you when it's going to punish you about things. Although I believe next trial is when it does a really annoying thing that occasionally pops up a couple other times. I don't drink bean juice. That is fair. I come from a long line of coffee drinkers. I drink it a fair bit, although I'm more like I prefer coffee drinks. Or if I'm just tired, I'll have a cup or two to wake up. Because for some reason, I don't seem to get the... I don't know, maybe it's just I've had soda so long. For some reason, I psychosomatically think that the caffeine in soda won't affect me. Never just seems to have as much impact for some reason.
A pistol was hanging from Mystic Maya's hand, and she was in a daze.
During our investigation, you say that you struck the defendant on the head, and this strike caused Maya to lose consciousness. Do you stand by this statement?
I'm afraid I don't. The statement I gave you was a lie.
But why would you lie about something like that?
It is very painful for me to say this, however.
The witness was lying to cover for the defendant.
Man, there's a difference from when you have, like, the goober witnesses on the stand versus, like, Morgan clearly actually knows what she's doing to a degree. We'll still get her, because you always get them, but... She was covering for Maya? I guess we can question further. I feel like this is only gonna hurt, but... So, you were covering for the defendant?
Well, yes. It was only later that I was informed of what had occurred. That the renegade Mystic Maya had done something very unexpected. Something unexpected? What, pray tell, did she? Oh.
This witness didn't and couldn't have seen what happened. If you want to know what this unexpected thing was, there is always later.
Yes, very well.
Ugh, why does it suddenly feel like there's a rock in the pit of my stomach? I guess our whip counter will still get to go up plenty because the judge will oblige.
Now, witness, continue with what happened.
Then, quite suddenly, she thrusted me away from herself and escaped from the room.
Was it really that easy for her to escape from you?
I'm ashamed to admit to such a thing, however, yes.
But you are physically larger and stronger than the defendant. There's no way she could have escaped from you so easily.
Have you forgotten already, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? What about this picture? Remember that at the time, the defendant was not physically Maya Fey.
Also, like, how bulky is Mimi Manny supposed to be? Oh, wow, okay. Man, this new system Twitch has, for, like, restricting things as they come in, it seems to actually work pretty decently for catching these things. At least I assume you guys didn't see well-publicized shampoo or black and picking tell me about the best viewers on a website. Uh,
Hmm. Going old is such a mysterious thing. Trust me, I know firsthand. Basically, Mystic Maya's body was still that of the nurse she had called.
but if she had run away, wouldn't you have given chase right away?
Well, yes, I would have. However, with great strength, she hit the base of my neck and I fainted for a short while.
You fainted?
I became dizzy and then collapsed onto the floor. How long were you unconscious? I'm not sure. About 10 minutes, perhaps. Hmm. The defendant almost certainly went somewhere in that time.
Happy, witness, elaborate on that point for us.
I'm afraid I have no knowledge of where she went after that.
Is that because you were unconscious?
Why, yes.
Great. Well, now what? I mean, we'll question further. So while you were unconscious, you have absolutely no idea where the defendant went?
I would think that's obvious, good sir.
If that's true,
Then how can you know for sure that the defendant left the channeling chamber at all?
Now that you mention it, I have to wonder myself.
It's true that this witness is not able to confirm this. But the key word here is this witness.
what do you mean by that?
It means she has another witness up her sleeve. That's what. It looks like Miss Von Kerma is ready to move on to her next witness.
That's enough. From what I can tell, there is nothing wrong with this witness's testimony. And from what she has said, we can establish that Maya Fey did leave the chamber.
I hope this isn't going to come back and bite us in the butt.
Now, let's take the next logical step and ask, where did the defendant go after leaving the channeling chamber?
Yes. That is exactly what we should.
Be quiet, you.
Okay. Whip. Damn. It looks like Francisca's finally going to catch up. It only took her the second day of trials to outwhip the objection counter. Well, maybe if we're lucky, we'll get some nice objection back and forth that will pump it back up, make it a competition.
Now then, what the escapee had done was she had gone to speak with a certain person.
She went to speak with someone.
Who was it?
The prosecution calls Miss Eeny Meeny, who was sleeping in the side room at the time.
Eeny meeny.
I think you can see where this is headed. A witness, name and occupation.
Okay, so my name is like Eeny Meeny. I'm like researching like parapsychology stuff at the university.
What is this parapsychology?
Let's see. It's like, I guess most people call it occult stuff.
Even if that's what most people call it, I can't say I understand what that means.
Then I suggest you go home and research it yourself.
Yes, sir.
Now then, Miss Meany, after the murder took place, you spoke with the defendant, Maya Fey. Is this correct?
Well, like, I guess.
If that's the case, then let's hear your testimony. That is alright, isn't it, Your Honor?
Well, yes, sir.
For the love of all things good, Your Honor, have some spine. For my sake. After the murder. Like, when the channeling started, I was like sleeping in the side room. Like, a little later, someone came into the room, like, really suddenly. It was like, oh my god, totally my sister. I like hadn't seen her in like so long. I was so happy in like a sad way. My sister, she like told me something like totally terrible.
Now hold your horses, young lady. You're saying the person that entered was your sister? Don't you mean the defendant, Maya Fey?
Really now, Your Honor, Maya Fey was sitting in the middle of channeling at that time.
But are you saying that the spirit was the spirit of this witness's sister?
Yes, Mimi. It's really funny how it should be Miney, right? Because it's supposed to be Eeny, Mimi, Miney. But whenever I see the Eeny, I want to go Eeny, Meeny. But because Mimi has that sound there, I want to go Mimi, Miney. And I'm just going to have to live with it, I think. Yes, Mimi Miney. She was a nurse at Dr. Gray's clinic.
Oh, well, this is.
Witness. Like, yeah? In your testimony, you mentioned a terrible thing. Why don't you tell the court what this terrible thing was? I'm sure we'd love to hear about it. Like, do I totally, like, really have to? Of course.
Miss Lady, please.
My sister, like, this is what she said to me.
That was no accident.
Oh, I guess this would be. I was drunk. I can't do it.
With sleeping pills, I was murdered by that person.
I can't try to do a bad ghost voice and also a Valley girl. I am weak.
That's why I took my revenge. It's only fair, isn't it, Eenie? She took her revenge? Are you sure that's what she said?
Yes. There, are you satisfied, Your Honor?
I still can't believe it. I can't believe that a spirit would go so far as to use a medium to get revenge.
It is a bit odd to swallow. However, all the evidence and testimonies point to this as the truth. Whipping the table. 40. The end.
What do you think, Mr. Wright? It certainly seems like all the loose ends are accounted for.
This testimony just now. Was it all made up? Was it just one huge lie? Of course it was, Phoenix. Mia, what do you mean? It's well constructed, but that's all it is. But even the most well-spun lies can be undone. We can do it, Phoenix. Let's find that one loose thread and unwind this tapestry of lies. Your Honor, there is room for doubt, so the defense will cross-examine this witness. We believe that our cross-examination will reveal the real truth behind this murder. Yet again, the foolish fool spouts out more foolishly foolish drabble. I wonder if you'll make this one more entertaining than the last. Okay. After the murder. Like, when the channeling started, I was, like, sleeping in the side room. Oh, thank God. This is... Like, I'm sure we could skip through this one more than the other, because we had to do all of Morgan's. But the Edie voice is way easier. Especially because I've now figured out how to do a Valley Girl, well, bad Valley Girl, obviously, again. It's really weird, that moment, like, a few years back, when for some reason I just couldn't... My mind refused to do even a bad Valley Girl, like, I couldn't remember how to do it. I don't know why. Was that because of your, sesame allergy, was it? Like, that's right. I, like, think there were sesame seeds, like, in the lunch they served that day. I had this, like, premonition that it was going to totally be a seedy day. Yes, indeed.
I see.
Am I the only one who missed the boat here?
Anyway, so you were taking a nap, but something happened while you were sleeping.
Like, a little later, someone came into the room, like, really suddenly. Do you know the time? Like, maybe a little before 11 a.m.? Something like that, I think? 11 a.m.? Yeah, like, my stomach is totally ready for, like, food. No. I think you misunderstood me. I'm not asking what time it is now. I meant what time was it when the someone came into your room? Oh, so, like, that's what you meant. Like, you should have been more, like, clear about it. Sorry. My bad. No, it's okay. Like, it's really... That's it? Why'd you stop mid-sentence? Did I? So, like, what was I talking about again? Never mind.
A witness about this person who entered the side room.
Why does the judge let such useless witnesses in to testify? Because the prosecution tells him to. And he listens to the prosecution. Like, the one thing that Francisca brings to the table is that we know that the judge is literally whipped by her, whereas he's just metaphorically whipped by the other prosecutors. It was like, oh my god, totally my sister. I think most everyone sees Eni and you know to go like Valley Girl-esque. But here, the localization just lets you know. There were a couple other lines earlier, but... Are you absolutely sure? I guess? You guess? Was it or was it not your sister who entered? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I totally don't know your sister at all, Mr. Smith.
First off, my name is not Mr. Smith. Second, I'm an only child. You gotta wait till the next trilogy for any secret defense attorney sibling shenanigans.
One more than that, she's managed to mess up the question with her answer.
Well, Mr. Wright?
The defense rests.
Well, that was a colossal waste of our time. Now then, witness, how did you feel when you saw Miss Mimi Mime?
I, like, hadn't seen her in, like, so long. I was so happy in, like, a sad way. You were happy in a sad way? Yeah, like, I mean, it was my sister. But wouldn't most people react here with surprise at seeing a dead loved one alive again? But, like, maybe if I was, like, someone who didn't know about, like, the occult, but I, like, know all about the Karain channeling technique.
The point here is the witness immediately recognized that it was her sister.
Yeah, like what she said. Should I drop this line of questioning? Wait. Okay, I think I remember what it's getting at here. I think this time I actually do need to question further and it pays off dividend, yeah. So you really didn't think anything strange of the whole encounter? No. Like, there wasn't any reason for me to, like, think anything was strange. But, ow! Don't keep badgering her. You know the phrase, objection? Could you try using that once in a while? Mr. Wright. Phoenix, I don't think she thinks, period. It's definitely at least how Edie Media is trying to trick everyone, right?
Mr. Wright, this question of what the witness felt when she saw her sister, is it really that important?
Oh, it's nothing. It is very important. It is very important. Although I haven't quite figured out what it is yet. But I've got to bluff for now and make it seem like I know what I'm talking about.
All right, Mr. Wright. Miss Meady, please amend your testimony.
Like, okay. I'm like totally cool with that. Yes, okay, that's what it was. Like halfway through that, I remembered this is how you do this one, basically. I wasn't like scared at all, and like her costume looked totally like normal. Which, I like how it was perfectly fine the way she said it, but she had to add that bonus line to make it really clear how we tell her she's wrong. So, there was nothing odd at all about your sister's appearance? Like, yeah, nothing was like weird. Mia's talking to herself like she's found something wrong. That's impossible. Like, is everything okay? Can I, like, go on? My sister, she, like, told me something, like, totally terrible. Something terrible? What was this thing she told you? Huh? Like, didn't I just, like, tell you about it? Did you, like, forget already? A foolish fool with a foolish seal for a brain only speaks foolishly with foolish words. Well, why? Well, excuse me, princess. Anyway, should I ask to hear the story again? Don't bother asking. I did just hear the story. It's not like my memory is that bad. Actually, the defense is fine and does not need to hear the story again.
Very well. You may continue your testimony, Miss Meady.
I know there has to be something here I can use, but where? She really put a lot of thought into this lie, didn't she? We can't rush this. Let's take it slowly, one step at a time. She's bound to slip up somewhere. Don't give up, but don't get careless, okay? Remember, calm and collected. Okay. Costume looked normal, okay. So, I think this one's... Either one's Maya's costume, or it wants... It wouldn't be that one, it'd be this one. Lotta's photo, too. It might take both, honestly. I'm not sure. Clothes Maya was wearing at the time. I'm gonna go with the evidence. Well, I mean, they're both We'll go with Maya's costume. Huh. Objection counter go up. That was a very well spun lie, Miss Eni. See, Maya has some assets. No, this was fake Maya. I don't know if... Do we ever get to see young Maya with... Because there's a couple times you see her in a disheveled state. Although, is that later on?
What are you babbling about this time, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
It's well constructed. But that's all it is. Stealing my lines now, are we, Phoenix? Shut up, Mia. It's a good line. Miss Meanie, may I remind you of what you said? You said that there was nothing strange about your sister's appearance. Yeah? And? But I don't think that's what you were thinking at all. Take a look at this picture. Oh. Okay, so the picture must also. This is a picture of the sister you met. I would think that even you would be surprised if someone appeared before you like this.
The blood spray.
Miss Meanie, why did you not include the blood you saw in your testimony? If you were really testifying and not lying, you would have known it right off the bat.
Order. Miss Meanie, what is the meaning of this? Miss Meanie?
I'm thinking. Don't interrupt me.
Well, but...
And what are you stammering about, Your Honor? So we just got a flash of it there, but it seems like Eenie Meenie might be lying a little eensy bit about how she is as a person. That witness. The personality did a complete 180 there. Lots of people do that when they get on the stand, though. First of all, calm yourself, witness. I'm sorry. I, didn't mean to snap. Now, hurry up with the testimony.
Well, if you please.
Ugh, the judge still looks a little shaken up. A lot of help he's going to be. Phoenix, why are you saying this like the judge is ever helpful? After the murder, part 2. The sad room was, kinda dark, you know? So, the costume is, purple, right? The blood totally blended right in. And I, persuaded my sister it wasn't, right to do something like that. And then, I took my sister to the channeling chamber.
Yes, now I see. You have given us a clear reason for why you didn't notice the blood.
You think? Thanks, Gramps.
Are you satisfied, Mr. Wright?
She clearly lied.
Well, all right, I guess not. Very well. You may question the witness. Are you satisfied, Mr. Wright, with the lie that I gave this witness time to come up with after the prosecution intimidated me because I am weak-willed?
No, Your Honor. No, I am not. After the murder, part 2. The sad room was, kinda dark, you know? Really? Because I thought it was pretty bright inside that room.
Don't push your subjective opinions onto this court.
That's right. Objections. Excuse me, but how is my statement any more subjective than Miss Meanie's? Miss Meanie's?
are such a hopeless cause. Witness, you may feel free to ignore this trite little man.
Like, okay.
Can't breathe. Let me out of here.
So, like, the costume is, like, purple, right? The blood totally blended right in. Okay. I'm gonna keep pressing. But, like... I mean, I guess to a degree I could see it blending right in. It looks pretty clearly not like the case, but whatever. You didn't see the blood? Like, yeah.
She must have had the gun with her at that time as well.
That's, Are you going to tell me next that you didn't notice the gun either? I, like, totally didn't. I was looking at was, like, her face.
Continue.
Okay, I appreciate that even Phoenix calls out the clear bullshit going on here. And I, like, persuaded my sister it wasn't, like, right to do something like that. And what was your sister, Miss Mimi Miney, like at the time? Well, she was, like, totally flipped out because she just shot Dr. Gray. But I think, like, she knew. She, like, said she did something really bad. And, like, she said she wanted to go with me to, like, apologize to Miss Morgan. Did Mimi's spirit really say all that to you? Like, yeah. And then, like, I took my sister to the channeling chamber. Was your sister calm by that time? Like, I guess so? I guess maybe, like, taking her revenge on Dr. Gray, like, made her feel a lot better. I'd like to feel a lot better too, Mr. Phoenix, right? The sooner the better, she says with her whip at the ready. And, like, Miss Morgan was the only one in the channeling chamber, you know? May I ask you one more thing, Miss Meaning? Like, sure. Was there anything you found strange, unusual, or just out of place? Something out of place? Huh? Like, when do you mean? Oh, when? When the side room, going to the crime scene, arrived at the crime scene. Ah, okay. I think we need to rely on what Pearl told us. We're going to the crime scene. I'm talking about when you were going to the channeling chamber, of course. Like, no, nothing strange. She answered rather quickly. Now what? Press harder. Think harder. I know you can remember something. I, like, totally can't. That's not good enough. You have to explain yourself clearly to this court.
Do you think, Mr. Wright, that whether or not there was something out of the way to the challenge chamber is all that important?
It's very important. I ask because it is very important. Not that I know where I'm going with this. Look at like, it's funny. Because everyone says Phoenix bluffs his way through a lot of things. But, like, very clearly Phoenix can lie, it's just he's very inconsistent with it. Like, I have to imagine what it is Phoenix probably actually has, like, a decent deception or bluff. But I think he's the kind of player where he doesn't tend to hit average results very often. Or at least it never feels that way. Because, I mean, we've all done D&D, right? If you look at someone's career over their entire dice rolling, they'll probably statistically average out. But especially, like, the way it feels like it goes, and the way that people, like, just get a reputation. Some people just, whenever they roll average, doesn't seem to matter. And all the times it does matter, it's either high or either low. Sometimes if someone's lucky or unlucky, they tend to favor one of those. But some people are just bored of extremes.
Very well. Miss Lady, if you will, please include a statement about this in your testimony.
Like, I don't get why, but okay. I, didn't see anyone on the way to, the channeling chamber. We got you, bitch. Try to remember that time. Oh, I remember. I totally didn't see anyone on the way. Guess this really is a dead end. Something you finally pull out of a witness is never a dead end, Phoenix. So good. Can't find anything wrong. Phoenix, the judge believes this testimony. If you don't find some sort of hitch in her statement, he'll end the trial. I know. We have to give it another shot. Yeenie, I doubt you remember what was said 3 seconds ago. Doesn't matter how many times we listen, we can't give up. Hank didn't say one the way okay. What do we need here? Crosshair toy. Under repair in the hallway until police came. Okay, I'm pretty sure we need the sacred urn here. That's what we need to do. Or we need to present... See, this is part of why... Oh god, let's not look at Director Hottie. Being able to do things with profiles is kind of worrying. She's saying anyone. So we have the sacred urn, which is evidence here. That was under repair in the hallway until the police came. But it does say anyone. I'm going to present... I think we saw this last time in the very first trial. Or maybe it was the first part of this trial here. Where it's like the line was a person. So I'm going to present Pearl's profile. And again... Oh, let me count that objection too. It's also possible, I've gotten lucky so far with most of these. It's possible for some of these, they do give you multiple options which will work. So who knows? Maybe both would have worked. But there's a lot of times when sometimes if you think about it in different ways, there's 4 or 5 things that can work and it's only 1 or 2 of them. And that can sometimes go with you need to follow how the game wants you to logic these things out. You say that you didn't see anyone on the way to the channeling chamber. However, that is impossible. What do you mean? I'd like to introduce someone to you. This is Miss Morgan Fay's daughter, Pearl Fay. She is currently right now actually this big-titty lady next to me, but that's because she's channeling my old dead mentor. But for the purpose of what I'm saying right now, I want you to imagine her as instead an 8-year-old little girl. Interesting. You have a semi-intelligent look on your face. So, what about this child? It just so happens that at the time of the murder, Pearl was playing in the center garden. The garden? Yup. Which means anyone walking through the area would have to have seen her. So, Miss Meanie, what do you have to say to that? Phoenix didn't realizing what he said. Don't think about it too hard why the 8-year-old looks like an adult. Look, no one's happy with Pearl channeling Mia. Actually, that is not true. I'm sure there's a small, but still distressing that they exist at all, number of people that do like that. But for the vast majority of us, it's just really creepy and let's not think about it.
As the court can see, she's a bit of an airhead. Also, she was leading her sister at that time. Do you honestly think she would have noticed a simple child playing? Preposterous.
That was an objection. I should not have started counting Francisco's whips. It's not preposterous, and I can prove it.
What sort of foolish...
We objected back. Is this where we do the urn now? There's no way someone walking along the winding way could not have noticed Pearl. I'm gonna assume it's the sacred urn now? There's no way someone walking along the winding way could not have noticed Pearl. Yeah, it's gotta be a sacred urn, right? Okay. Bit of an airhead. Francisca, sweetie, honey, dear. She has no brain. It's a wonder she can breathe in her heartbeat. This urn is my proof.
An old cracked clay pot. What is that going to prove?
Do you know why it's cracked? It's because Pearl broke it. That's why. She broke the urn. Yow!
Why do I feel like you're about to ruin my beautiful day?
This urn was broken around the time the channeling started. Ah, and Pearl was the one who put it back together, while sitting right in the middle of the winding way.
What?
So, they do actually a lot of fun things with Eenie Meenie. We saw earlier she had that moment where she looked very serious. But another neat thing is when she pulls her hat on and she's like screaming in anguish, that kind of looks like a ghost in a way, doesn't it? I think that's a kind of cute little like thing they did with just her reaction stuff. Miss Meanie. Spoopy. Ah, if only I had gone to this case a little bit later in the year. Pearl was there in the winding way at the time. She was hard at work, putting the pieces of the urn back together, you see. If you couldn't see that while you were walking, I'd have to declare you legally blind. My work's at Halloween candy out for a month now. Yeah, I mean, it's been out in the grocery stores for a while too, right? But hell, I think that started like late August, really. It's just now like the seasonal aisle is really full of candy. I think I've sufficiently proven one thing, Miss Meanie. You are a masterful liar. Arrgh. Mr. Wright, you need to watch what you say. The one who needs to watch what she's saying is the witness. So, Miss Meanie, tell us the truth.
About what?
About what? About where you really were at the time of the murder, of course.
The witness just testified about that.
That's right. We're getting Christmas toys in the back promo aisle. So it counts as Halloween season. Yeah. Oh, man. Actually, I will notice, maybe it's because this is the more intense part, because we're actually kind of figuring things out. So the objections are kind of keeping up with the whips for now. I was, like, sleeping in the side room. Can I really believe her? Was she really sleeping in the side room? I guess so. There is no way. Yeah, there is no way. Your lies end here.
What do you...
The witness says that during the actual murder, she was asleep in the side room. And I say that's not possible. Because there is clearly a contradiction here.
A contradiction? Where is this contradiction?
To the testimony just now. It's in the evidence. Help me, Mia. Oh, man. It's not in the evidence. It's gotta be in the testimony. I do like the idea of turning around and say, help me, Mia, but I think here it's in her testimony? Earlier in your testimony, Miss Meany, you made the following statement. I should just said the Mia one. I don't think that one actually punished you for getting it wrong. Which is fine. I do appreciate that they give you things where you can make a, like, not painful choice. And, like, Miss Morgan was the only one in the channeling chamber, you know? It's true that at the time, both myself and Miss Hart were not there. We'd gone to call the police. So, like, what does that, like, have to do with anything? It's very simple. Miss Meany, how did you know that fact? How? I concede that Miss Faye was the only person in the channeling chamber. However, someone who was asleep in the side room could not have known that. Which means, Miss Meany, you did in fact go to the channeling chamber. But you didn't go there by way of the winding way.
But look at the manor guide map. If one were to go between the side room and the channeling chamber, one would have to use the winding way.
Yes, that's right, Your Honor. Which is why I asked this very important question. Where was the witness at the time of the murder? Miss Meany, please answer the question. Don't ask a question off of a basis assumption, if you please. Well, I suppose since you put it out on the table, Mr. Phoenix, Wright, you might as well answer the question for us. Alright, that one was it. Does both of them. Now remember, this is Francisca's first time with Phoenix. She doesn't know what's coming. Where was the witness at the time of the murder? Now's your chance, Phoenix. Yeah. The only person who could have killed Dr. Gray was Eenie Meenie. So now is the time to prove it.
Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Where was the witness when the murder took place?
In the channeling chamber. Miss Meenie was here, of course.
Well, but that's the channeling chamber.
Isn't that the crime scene? That's right. Miss Meenie was at the scene of the crime.
Order. That's why that is.
Mr. Phoenix Wright, have you lost your mind? Yesterday's testimony established that only the victim and the defendant were in the chamber when the channeling started. Man, I don't know why that sentence was so hard for me to do for some reason.
Yes, it is correct. Please explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
Simple. Miss Eenie Meenie was hiding at the scene of the crime. I was hiding? Where? Like, where was I hiding? Well, I wonder, where was she hiding? What is the place that, like, what was it, like 3 different times in 3 different ways? We were like, was there someone behind the folding screen? I don't know. It was dark. Here, of course. But behind the folding screen? Ah.
Don't make me say this again. Recall yesterday's testimony.
Here's a whip count again. Well, there ain't no way anyone was hanging out behind that folding screen. See, you stupid jerk. Quit being so quick to pin it on me, slimeball. Now, Miss Beatty. One so young as you shouldn't be saying. Shut it, Gramps, as if you know exactly how old I am. I'm sorry. Looks like the pipe's about to burst. Guess I should help it along. The witness was hiding behind the folding screen with the help of this. The clothing box. Which we know is back there because of the bullet hole. Miss Meanie, who is now acting like a completely different character. How you were able to hide yourself at the scene of the crime is very simple. You were hiding inside this box. That tiny little box, no person could fit in that. Sorry, but your theory has already been disproved. Lotta disproved you when she was hiding from me in it.
But that clothing box was in the side room, right? Which means it has nothing to do with the murder at all.
Okay, let me count, because I'm pretty sure Phoenix is about to do another one. That's right, I was sleeping there, so I should know. That clothing box was there in the side room the whole time. Mr. Wright. Okay, I thought Phoenix was going to get another objection there. Do you think you can prove where the clothing box was at the time of the crime? No, I can't. Yes, I can, with some evidence. And now, I present the piece of evidence that will prove this clothing box was at the scene of the crime when the murder took place. I mean, it's gotta be the folding screen, right? Because we'll line up the bullet holes. Take a look at this clothing box. You're so stupid. As if there's any sort of evidence in that old thing. Yes. What on earth? Oof.
I don't have time for you to sit there surprised. Hurry up and say it already.
That was a whip. No, there's a hole about 8 inches off of the ground.
A hole about 8 inches off the ground. Where have we heard that before?
Is Phoenix more sarcastic in this? Like, I feel like he always has that little bit, but I feel like in specifically, at least this case and this part of it, he's really been like firing back with this stuff, but specifically in this like sarcastic angle to it, kind of. I mean, I like it. I think it's fun.
The folding screen. It had a hole at the same height.
That's right. I hope this has opened your eyes to what happened. At the time of the shooting, the clothing box was sitting behind the folding screen, which is why the bullet from the pistol hit both the box and the folding screen. It went through the screen and then into the box. Miss Meanie, you were hiding behind the folding screen, waiting for your chance. Yes, for your chance to kill Dr. Gray. Murder. So what you are saying? Then Mr. Phoenix Wright, what about this picture? Okay, that was an objection. Are you saying that the person in this photo is Miss Eenie Meenie? That is exactly what I am saying. Miss Eenie Meenie, you were hiding inside this clothing box all along. And you wore Medium's costume to masquerade as Maya Fey. Masquerade as Maya Fey? She had a plan from the very beginning. She would kill Dr. Gray and pin the blame on my client. No, stop. I can't stand to listen to any more of this foolishness. If that's the case, Mr. Phoenix Wright, then I have a proposition. This whole idea that the witness moved the clothing box to the crime scene, pretended to be the defendant, killed the victim, and then fled the scene of the crime. It's not possible for one person to do all that by herself. Whip count. Correct, it's not possible, because we know she had Morgan's help. It really isn't possible. For one person to do all the preparations, that is. How? Need I remind you, the foolish receive no mercy. Oh, wait. Let me cook. No, I will not let you cook. Stupid American saying. Miss Von Karma, you said it was not possible for one person, correct? But, dude, you can't be serious. Miss Meanie, you had an accomplice. There's this bitch. This person. If it wasn't someone from Crane Village, you couldn't have gotten the costume. And if it wasn't someone from the Fey household, you wouldn't have that box to use. Morgan Fey. Isn't that the wonderful lady witness we had earlier? What do you have to say to this, Miss Meanie? You shot Dr. Gray with your own two hands. Do you deny it? I think this is what really happened. The murderer had planted herself at the scene of the crime long beforehand. Dressed in a medium's costume and wearing a wig, she pretended to be the defendant. And then the channeling started. The murderer crept silently towards the other two, both of whom had their eyes closed. First, she drugged Maya Fey with a strong sleeping agent. Then, she stabbed Dr. Gray with the knife. Next, she hid my client inside the clothing box. She did that so she could take Maya's place and frame her for the crime. But that's when something unexpected happened. Unexpected? Yes. Dr. Gray was actually not yet dead. With the last of his strength, he fired a shot at his attacker. That is why the hole in the folding screen was so low to the ground. The murderer then took the gun from Dr. Gray and double tapped. After that, you and the other lady thought to break into the room? Yes, a gunshot is certainly something you wouldn't expect to hear, which is why, upon hearing the shots, we forced our way into the channeling chamber. Miss Meanie, she merely covered her own costume with blood and pretended to be Maya Fey.
But that sort of deception would have been easy to see through.
So did she whip us, or did she just whip the idea of this, like, narrative we're crafting? Which is precisely why Miss Morgan Fey chased us out.
Please leave this area to me. Go quickly and inform the police. Hurry, before there are more victims here. What is one supposed to say?
This is the real truth behind this murder. Okay. How does this get extended, though? Because... No, because we don't... There's still stuff we need to actually get out there. Because no one's put together what we have evidence for yet.
Ha. Ha 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 ha. What is that? Laughing at a time like this. Rock. Or you simple-minded fools. I'm sorry, are you still by chance evolving?
Was that Francisca laughing? It might have been Francisca laughing. I don't know. What is it this time?
Well, Miss Von Karma? Clearly.
Ah, it was her laughing.
Of course it was me. Do you really think someone of Von Karma blood would lose due to something this petty?
What in the world?
Mr. Phoenix Wright, your argument is flawed in one very crucial area.
And that is? Let me count that whip count. I think I realized before, I think that with Francisca, they use her whipping sometimes in place of where they might use an objection, which is kind of an interesting thing.
If this witness is the real murderer, why would she go through all this trouble?
Huh?
Working together with the medium, pretending to be one, putting on this whole act. What reason would she have to do such foolish things?
Well, that's...
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Oh, and one other thing. Why would Miss Amy Meanie want to kill Dr. Gray? Where is her motive?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say too. Yeah, motive. I don't have a motive. Motive. That's... I can't say she has no motive here. Okay. So, she does have more of a motive than we think. Because we have evidence for something else. But, like, this should be a non-issue anyways. Because if nothing else, we could just say, this dude is the guy who she thinks got her sister killed. Like, that is the current nature of the story we're in right now. I have to think of a motive now. What's her reason for wanting Dr. Gray dead? The reason you wanted Dr. Gray dead is this. I want this one, right? One's around the her sister Mimi. Yeah, Mimi was nurse at Gray. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the one we need. Ha! Just as I thought. You bore me with your silly answers, Phoenix Wright. Just great. Now even she is calling me by my full name. You think I did this to get revenge for my sister's death? Yes. I feel like in any other trial, that would be more than enough, and we would just say that's a good enough motive, and we're done. Because through that accident, you suffered a lot of hurt and pain yourself.
Don't be stupid. No one has proof that Dr. Gray drugged my sister, right? And you wanna say I wanted to take revenge based on nothing?
What do you mean by that?
Senile, stupid Gramps. I'm, like, going to explain, so, like, please listen, okay? It's been over half a year since I was discharged from the hospital. If I, like, wanted revenge, then, like, I wouldn't have waited this long. And besides, like, the guy that thought of the spirit thing was, like, Dr. Gray. It was, like, a total coincidence he asked me about it, you know.
She's back to her airhead persona. However, you see, ouch!
Pathetic Mr. Phoenix, right?
It is a little bit frustrating. Because, like, if the prosecution said all those things, that would have been more than good enough, and we'd have to fight it. But because it's, you know, it doesn't really bother me that much, but these are one of the moments when it's like a little bit like, because the case is stacked against us by the nature of the way the game is made, it is clearly imbalanced there. But, you know, that's just how these games are, too.
You fail to support your own theory.
The end.
I think we have our answer, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What Miss Meany has stated is very true. The revenge plan is overly complicated, and she has no motive in the first place.
Bullshit, she has no motive. Waited 6 months? What the...
Furthermore, there is no reason for Miss Morgan Fay to cooperate with this plan.
There is. You didn't even ask me about that, so I could tell you.
You don't even have any truly decisive pieces of evidence to demonstrate your point.
So many faults, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
You should really learn your place.
What happened? I thought I had her for sure. The music was going.
Hee hee. See, like, it's just as I, like, told you. I hope you liked your slice of humble pie.
Very well. I now conclude the cross-examination of Miss Eeny Meeny.
Your Honor, please, allow the defense 1 more minute.
All right.
You can't lose here. Have faith in yourself, Phoenix. Mia. Yes, it does sound like a ridiculously messed up plan for a murder, but this is fucking Ace Attorney. Since when haven't the murders ever been really messed up? But you know, regardless, that girl trained for this crime. Really? Listen, Phoenix. Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason for why she had to kill Dr. Gray. And it is also the reason she had no choice but to kill him in this fashion.
Time is up, Mr. Wright. Your final answer, please. If you want to say that you can prove Miss Meany had a motive, then why did she kill the victim in this way? Can you provide the reason?
Can I? Can I really do this? Well, if you let us cook, yes, I can. I'm not totally confident here, but I know that I must press on no matter what. That's right, Phoenix. Only you can do this now. I will show and substantiate the fact that Miss Meany had a motive. Too bad. You're too late. My cross-examination has already ended after all. Eek.
Interesting.
And now we see Franziska with a little bit of hubris.
I'll let you have your chance, Mr. Phoenix, Wright. What? You're supposed to be on my side. Aye. Von Karma only cares about the perfect win. As long as you have the will to fight, I will knock you down, Mr. Phoenix, Wright?
Like, she's doing it for the wrong reason, but at least Franziska's kind of helping us a little bit here.
And I don't care if you are my witness, so help me, I will throw you out of my way. No way.
Very well. The court will take a 5-minute recess. We will continue the cross-examination after we reconvene.
Hey, wait a sec here. To be continued.
All right. Well, I think we can finish this tonight. How did I... Is this for my other save, maybe? I mean, we'll use it anyways, why not? Part 4-2, Trial. I don't think that's why I was using it, but that's okay. Alright. June 22nd. Actually, I'm not going to read this because we'll come back to it. Actually, wait, let me... Because it's not bringing the music back. I think it needs a character for that. June 22nd, 12:04 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Okay. Ooh, okay. So, I will continue. I think we'll be able, because I assume the next part will be within the realm of that we can finish. But I'm going to take a little break, rest my voice for a second. So I'll be right back in a moment, you guys. All right, I'm back. Oh. So, I do like revisiting old Phoenix Wright games. Obviously, it's a little bit draining, even when you're not very good and not doing much range. Doing voices for everyone, you know. But that's fine. I don't do too many that are very hard. I always make sure to have tea with honey now, usually. One of the things that's kind of a shame versus a game that has more like active gameplay is you don't really get many times to like stop and just talk. Like I'll put in little asides here, and if I have something, I will stop it. But it's a little bit more awkward. It's not like something that's more actiony. Like I mean, I just came off of doing 16's DLC, right? Final Fantasy 16's DLC, and like to a degree, I could just say whatever during the combat there when I wasn't trying to focus because I'm not great at it. But that's okay. It is kind of fun here where it's interesting, right? Because in the first part, we've basically shown what the murder is now, how it works, but we need to now figure out like the underlying truth of it, which is kind of fun. I'm sure even if someone has seen this before, you can't put it together now, because there's certain things that like the kind of twists that like to do properly, you need to give the clues already. Especially in these kind of games where you have to figure it out anyways, it behooves them to not make it too complicated. Although sometimes they'll like leave one or two things for like the last moment. But yeah. Otherwise, let's get back to it. Oh, I guess the only other thing. I think we should be able to get through this. But I'll probably finish it and not start the third one. Which I was a little worried, depending on how short this would be, if I'd have to. Which I wouldn't have minded necessarily, although I've mentioned before the third case in this game is rather infamous. But it just feels more natural to finish without going into something new.
Is it really true about my aunt?
I'm afraid so, Maya. She's a bitch. Oh, I'm sorry. There is no way Eni could have killed Dr. Gray by herself. And under the circumstances, there's no one else other than your aunt, Morgan.
That's terrible. Why would my aunt...
Everything is going just as I predicted, Mr. Phoenix, right?
Oh shit, it's front-facing Von Kerma. Now, I think Francisca looks like her front-facing thing is not nearly as weird-looking as Manfred, but that's because we get it more, right? So they had more cause to actually, like, put a little bit more effort into it, I think.
Heck, Miss Von Kerma. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to take revenge on Nick? Nick had nothing to do with what happened to your dad.
Also, that is not true, Maya. We are the ones who made sure he was caught and went to jail. Now, we did it because he was a criminal and needed to go to jail, but still.
Don't you have something better to be worrying about? Say, your own situation?
Looking down on me, even though we're the same age.
Are you done yet? You've caused me enough pain and suffering.
Not yet. My goal is to defeat you, and let the whole world know of your defeat.
But even if you do that, it won't bring your father back.
Whatever. In the meantime, let's bring this match to its conclusion. And then we'll know who the real winner is.
June 22nd, 12:10 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Man, I just had the scary moment. Did I actually make sure I unmuted? But I did. Oh, thank God we're still on Eeny Meeny.
What would thou make of me, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor. Oh, wait, no, I misread that.
What would thou reconvene, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor?
Can you prove Miss Eeny Meeny had a motive?
Yes, I believe I can. Eeny Meeny and Dr. Gray have only one point of connection, and that is the car accident 1 year ago. The motive I'm looking for must be there. Like, again, this is one of those things where it needs to be more straightforward than this, but how many people in real life know about, like, a sibling or other family member's shitty boss? Like, and I like how, like, this whole case is, like, acting like there's a vacuum where that doesn't matter at all. Miss Meany, please testify to this court about your car accident last year. Huh? I thought, like, you wanted to, like, ask about my, like, motive. I, like, don't see the point in, like, bringing up the past.
Miss Meany, if you please.
Okay. Like, I totally don't think it'll do any good, but... Last year's accident. That was, like, last year in May. Like, something really bad had happened at, like, my sister's clinic around then. And, like, the night of the accident, my sis was totally tired while she was driving. I was, like, totally pooped too, so I, like, fell asleep in the passenger seat. I, like, woke up because of a jolt, and, like, it was a sea of flames around me. I, like, opened the door and, like, got away on the floor like a dino.
I think I've heard of this incident.
It was all the talk in the tabloid shows, day after day last year.
Yes, and there was talk about Dr. Gray drugging your sister?
Is Eeny more or less of an airhead than the judge, do you think? I think Eni, the character, is more of an airhead. Obviously, when we do the truth, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Whoa.
Those were merely rumors, totally baseless gossip. Also, hey Dell.
Whip counter. Unfortunately, the whip counter has eclipsed the objections counter, and I don't think it's ever going to catch back up. Well, that's not true. It's really going to depend on what numbers we get out of the third case. Hope you had a good time at D&D? Question mark? I feel like that's Mondays and Wednesdays now, but I might be wrong there.
Yes, Mr. Wright, you requested the witness.
Right now, it's impossible to prove that Dr. Gray did, in fact, drug Miss Meany's sister.
Yeah, which means I'll have to work this from another angle. The judge is old and tired. This is also true. Mondays is magic. Wednesdays now Tuesdays are D&D. Right, okay. I was thinking game shop, which is okay. I'm pretty sure Edie has no brain. Last year's accident.
That was like last year in May.
Didn't some sort of medical malpractice happen at your sister's hospital then?
Yeah, like, that was in May too. Like, the thing with all the patients dying was, like, May 2nd, and, like, our accident was, like, on the 24th.
2 accidents back to back. Do you assume it's just a coincidence?
My sis was, like, totally tired, so that's why. Duh.
I won like 1 game, but I'm very happy with how the deck I got for the newly release set played. Well, that's good. Like, I know it's stuff like that. It's funny because most of my card game stuff is through Yu-Gi-Oh! But obviously, if you take away when something is telling a story around something like that, it really comes down to a lot to like luck and matchup stuff too, right? So it's good enough that you were just happy with how it performed versus what actually record it had.
Like, something really bad had happened at, like, my sister's clinic around then.
That was the malpractice incident where 14 patients died, correct?
Yeah.
What was the cause of the mistake?
Like, I heard it was 'cause the medicines, like, got mixed up.
Was that the fault of your sister, Mimi Miney?
Like, no way. Dr. Gray, like, wanted to blame it on my sis? That incident has nothing to do with our murder here. Besides, the police report has already documented that it was entirely Mimi Miney's fault.
That's an actual objection. Which means as far as the real facts are concerned, Mimi Miney is the one who made the mistake.
But, like, it really wasn't my sis. And, like, the night of the accident, my sis was totally tired while she was driving.
She was totally tired. You mean exhausted?
Like, she had to talk to the police and, like, was being investigated, like, every day. It was, like, a totally terrible situation.
It's no wonder, then, that the car accident happened, huh? We'll press harder, but I'm pretty sure it's the back half of these comments where the thing we need is. So then, why didn't you ask to switch places? Huh? Like, what are you talking about? I meant switch drivers. If your sister was so tired, then you should have switched with her.
True.
Ah, but like, I don't like have a driver's license.
Well, this is news to me. I was not aware you didn't have your license, Miss Meanie.
Miss Meanie, please amend your testimony.
Like, okay, anyway. Oh. Huh. Interesting. I mean, we do have a license photo, so we know she... Okay. I guess I was wrong then. Well, let's keep pressing, though. I was the... Okay, they added to the end. Okay. That was... Okay. I only did 2, right? Alright. The way they jumped me forward was very confusing to me. And, like, the night of the accident, my sis was totally tired while she was driving. What was this one I did? No, okay, it is different. Your sister, Mimi Miney, was she that exhausted? You know what it is? Also, I see because I added to the end too. It might be one of those things where one of the other things this game will do sometimes is pressing the same statement. Well, not the same statement. Pressing different statements will sometimes give you the same benefit. That might be why it skipped me forward too. Like, she had to talk to the police and, like, was being investigated, like, every day. It was, like, a totally terrible situation.
If only you had your license and were able to drive for your sister.
Yeah, that was, like, too bad.
Now then, witness, continue with your testimony.
I was, like, totally pooped too, so I, like, fell asleep in the passenger seat. I think I was thinking of the next section, but maybe these things blend together. The accident happened at night, correct? Yeah, like, it was at, like, 1 a.m. or so, I think. I had, like, a paper due, like, really soon. So, like, I hadn't slept and was working, like, real hard.
So it was because the two of you were so tired that this accident happened.
I, like, woke up because of a jolt and, like, it was a sea of flames around me. And your sister? What happened to her? I didn't see her. The car was, like, totally black and there was, like, a ton of smoke. I, like, totally had, like, no clue what was going on. I, like, opened the door and, like, got away. Please tell us about your escape in more detail. I like, kept wanting to forget that time. So, like, I don't remember things about the accident in, like, detail anymore.
Well, it's alright. Don't need to push yourself.
I think I, like, gave an interview after the accident. Like, that would probably be the most accurate, you know? If it's that article, I've already got it. I, like, didn't have my license, so, like, I couldn't take over driving for her. So I was thinking of a little bit further ahead. Because I'm, like, 95% sure I remember there being what door she got out of shenanigans, because they have to... The localization had to make some silly choices for this, I think. I might be mixing it up with later on, too. I think there's, like, a couple times when they've had to, like, explain away how here in Japanifornia, they drive on the wrong side of the road from America, but for Japan, you know. And that's why you were in the passenger seat? Like, yeah. I was, like, at my college's research lab till, like, really late. So my sis was, like, giving me a ride home. I see. Phoenix. Yes? You can't do this. You're being too easy on her. There's gotta be some sort of secret sleeping in this testimony. Yes. So let's find that one crushing contradiction and end this. You have her license photo, Phoenix. Shut up, Mia. I want to get all the dialogue. Eni, could you please look at this photograph on a license? My god, the objection counter has caught up with the whips again. Miss Meanie, that was a lame lie just now. Like, what do you mean? I know you had a license back then. This is a photo you took for the express purpose of getting a driver's license.
What is the meaning of this, Miss Meanie?
That's right. Yeah, I had, like, a license, but... You know, it's really funny, actually. Because... Oh, wait a second. Age 21, so she'd be 20. I wonder how Japan's driving laws on this. Because I know for at least Maryland, if you go from, like, because the way, and I assume this is for a lot of the states here at least, and maybe other countries too, but, like, you can start at a certain relatively young age as a teenager. It's 15 and 9 months here, 16 roundabout. But the idea is it takes, like, your first 3 years, even as soon as you get a license, before they give you, like, full permission to drive. Because I know one of the first things, like, when you have your, like, baby driver's license, not your learners, where you need to have someone there, but you can drive on your own thing, but, like, a lot of times they won't let you drive really late at night or drive other people unless they're a certain age. Which, at this point, though, I'm sure in Japan it's the same, where actually Eenie Meenie, the sister, would have any excuse to be able to drive. Yeah, I had, like, a license, but I didn't get it until after the accident. No, you had it. You had it at the time of the accident. Director Hottie. Oh. Or the guy pretending to be him anyway said so. What? Are you talking about that perverted fake clinic director? Yes, that perverted fake clinic director. And how did you know that he was perverted? Youch! No one cares. Witness, when did you receive your driver's license? Like last November. What? November? Thinks assumes everyone is a pervert. Man. Although, as a guy, he doesn't need to worry about it as much. But the accident happened last May. That's a half-year lapse in time, Mr. Phoenix, right? What in the...
That's what happened, Mr. Wright. At the time of the accident, Miss Meanie did not have a driver's license.
Ow. Cry und my whip will accommodate. Also, come on, Phoenix. You know that can't... She was burned and had that facial reconstruction surgery. Oh, whatever.
Anyway, without a license, the witness and her sister could not have switched drivers.
I'm, like, glad you get it, but, like, even if I had my license, I, like, don't think my sis would've, like, let me drive. Yow. Don't just stand there humming to yourself. Not you too, Mia. With the whip, and the pain, and the ow. I like how Franziska must have just whipped Phoenix anyways, and Mia just jumped on being mean to him. Miss Meanie, why do you think you would not have been allowed to drive anyway? Eh? That's because...
I think the situation calls for a more detailed testimony. Mr. Meany, if you please.
Eh? Like, how annoying. Oops. Like, sorry. Didn't mean to be mean. I wouldn't be allowed. Like, around that time, I was, like, really close to getting my license. My sis was, like, this totally big fan of cars and, like, really valued them. Here it is. I am curious what this must have been in the original Japanese, because she, like, had just gotten this really shiny, bright red sports car. She's, like, would say things like, no way am I letting a noob drive my car. So, like, that's why I ended up in the passenger seat that night, too. Okay, well, that part's fine, then. The whole point is, I'm pretty sure... Also... Nurse is not, like, a bad job. I mean, I guess maybe she just went into debt. I don't think nurses usually make a lot to get, like, sports cars. I mean, I guess it depends, too, on where they work, like, if you work in the right place. Like, that doesn't come up at all, but I could definitely see Turner Gray being the kind who'd pay his young, hot nurse more than he should because he wants other things going on, too. Which I'm glad. This game wouldn't really do that too much, and definitely wouldn't make it explicit, but I'm glad it doesn't delve into anything like that. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself with that.
I see. A bright red car for sports. Now then, the defense may question the witness.
I'm not terribly knowledgeable about cars, but this is where what side the driver versus passenger side is important, and thus where it's awkward if you say a game takes place in America when it really takes place in Japan, because those things are not the same. I wouldn't be allowed. Like, around that time, I was, like, really close to getting my license. So what do you mean by really close? Like, I had one of those permit things. I think that's what they're called. Permit? Wow, the big name lawyer boy doesn't even know what a driver's permit is? Well, this lawyer never had a permit. I just bike places and use our good public transit system. Because this takes place in Japan. Oh, no. Well, ignorance is to be whipped. What is with her? All she said in the last few minutes is utter nonsense. Yeah, I don't think Phoenix has a driver's license. Funnily enough, we know Edgeworth does, because he has a bright, shiny red sports car himself. So, like, may I continue? Actually, there was a lot more car traffic than I expected in Japan, and not just in Tokyo. Huh. That's interesting. But, like, I mean, it makes sense, though, right? Like, even if you have better public transportation, especially in a late capitalist thing like Japan, they're still going to have plenty of vehicles, including personal ones. So, like, may I continue? My host family in Japan had a car and a house. Well, that's nice. I mean, I also imagine, mind you, the father worked for Nissan, but still, that would help. I also imagine, I'm sure there's plenty of people who will do family hosting who might not have quite that scenario, but I think that also probably helps. Land prices in Japan are expensive as fuck. Oh yeah. Tiny island, you'll have that. Actually, it's not even that, it's the fact of just when it's that populous in certain places too. And other things as well. It's funny, it makes sense that Ace Attorney would be a stream where you kind of mention the stuff you've done in Japan. I don't have anywhere near the funds, and I would probably want to actually study up on the language some. But I really should, like, at some point in my life, go to Japan for at least a bit. I consume way too much, like, unhealthy levels of anime for me to not do it at some point. At least one time in my life, I'd say. So, like, may I continue? Even though I don't really like traveling, to be honest. I'm just as content staying at home. But, you know, I should probably get more experiences in life in general. My sis was, like, this totally big fan of cars and, like, really valued them. I was fully expecting to be in an apartment when I went, which was still the right expectations, I think, to take. You just look down to getting to that, so. So maybe I'm surprised when I get picked up from the bus station in a car and go to a house. Yeah, that worked out nicely. Well, I guess you could argue in some ways maybe you're not getting the full... No, I wouldn't say that. She valued cars? How much would you say she valued her car? Well, like, she'd flip out at, like, a drop of rain. And, like, she would notice if someone, like, touched the car door with dirty hands. As much as I'd love to visit Japan, I am too big. Ah, that's fair. That's not a problem for me. I'm on the shorter side. Like, I think I've already shrunk down a little bit. I'm like 5'5", maybe 5'4.5" now, give or take. Depending on, like, exactly if I'm measuring my height properly and hair and stuff. We just need to make Japan bigger. I'd be down for that if there was a way. Also, I don't care how much you pay for, like... I mean, I guess the dirty hands thing I can kind of get a little bit, but rain? In that case, why bother taking the car out of the garage ever? We'll press harder, why not? Why did she take such special care of the car? How can you say that? It was a brand spanking new car. New car? Like, you wouldn't want to, like, get it dirty, would you, Mr. Lawyer? I would think that cars getting dirty is just another fact of life, but I guess people who really love cars think otherwise. Phoenix, try asking something of more significance, alright? Meet one of the students in the group I went with was like 6 feet tall. Never saw him have to duck down to get into places. I'm 6'3" and also fairly wide, not just because fat, but also broad shoulders. I mean, on the bright side, that would at least, like, because I've heard this, that sometimes when you go over there and you're on the smaller side, it gives you, like, because people expect, like, if you're gonna be a big gaijin over there, that you'd actually be on the bigger side. This is obviously, you know, like, kind of like word of mouth stuff, but I know from a relative's old, like, Marine buddies story, they said that they had one over there who he would always begrudge the fact that he always had a hard time because he was short for an American, so he was, like, almost, like, doubly insulted by it over there. But, you know, too, that was also... Oh, God, they were talking about that in their youth. So that must have been, like, 3 to 4 decades ago.
Well, Miss Meany, what kind of car was it?
Imagine most urban places in Japan would be built with having people coming all over the world coming to the building. I could see it going both ways. They can be oddly judgmental in some cases, too. I do think I'm not claustrophobic, but I'm maybe claustrophobic-ish. I'm not sure how I would do in, like, the, like, cube hotels or whatever they are, where you actually, like, you're in, like, the cubicle room. I feel like that might be too small for me. In the country, it might be a little more difficult, but Tokyo, Osaka, Yokohama, etc. Yokohama, you say, and Tokyo. Like Isesaki Jinsho and Kamurocho from my Yakuza games. But no. As you get a fair bit of international business travelers. I mean, any big city will get that to a degree, right? She, like, had just gotten this really shiny, bright red sports car. I could not do a capsule hotel too small. That's what I like. I feel like that would just be like. Although only if I. Then again, maybe that's only be if I like really paid attention to it though. Like if I didn't think about it, which is why I'm saying it's like I'm almost like claustrophobia-ish, where like it's only if I like sit and let my mind work on it. But then that's how most fears are, right? If you can just ignore it, I don't know. It was a new car? Yeah. She had, like, just gotten it. It was, like, from the UK. See, this was what I was getting earlier. Hey, let's say you're taking this Japanese game and you're setting it in Japanifornia. Oh shit, it's the second game. A car comes up. Fuck. How do we solve this, guys? It's an imported model. Which makes me question the legality of that. Can you drive an import vehicle if it would put you on the wrong side of how these things are? So, fun fact. The one hotel was a normal Western hotel, which makes sense. What is this fun fact? From the UK. You... Sorry. Can we focus on the judge being just a dumbass again?
The UK? But those are boyfriend's initials?
Judge, I don't... I don't know if my host brother's friends had an import car from the West, so that we was on what we call the proper side. This was out of Japan. You can't do it again. The judge is old, tired. And wants to do pet law. You know what? A pet-based... I mean, I already did aviary attorney, right? But, like... No, I couldn't... I was going to say I'd be excited for pet ace attorney. It'd have to not feature murder. I could not deal with it being pet law where it's like the dogs or cats die. That would... Looked it up. As long as it meets emission standards, it's legal to drive. That's interesting. I guess that just means you have hard mode. No, the pets are the lawyers. Yeah, as long as the pets themselves, with any component there, as long as they're fine, I'm okay with this. And it was a really special model. She had waited for a whole year for it to arrive. What is this big baller nurse paycheck? I guess her love of cars would be the obvious next topic. Nothing in the rules says they can't be. I was thinking more pet ownership cases, where someone's dog shit on someone's shoe. I mean, that could work too, I guess. Just the most mildest stakes. That was harder. I really don't know anything about cars, but I had a feeling this was bound to come up. Your Honor.
Yes?
Please have the witness append what she just said to her testimony.
You mean the part about it being a special import car?
Yes.
Ugh. Well, if you like cars that much, then.
That's not my point. Though, to be honest, I don't know what the point is either.
Miss Lady, would you please fix your testimony?
Sure, whatever. I do like this animal attorney idea. My sister's new car was like a totally special model from England. I yelled hold it pretty forcefully, but I don't actually know what I ask about cars. Ask for the heck of it.
Yes.
So yes, what am I supposed to pick for a topic? This is, by the way, a very relatable moment for me, because I know incredibly little about cars. Like, I know the most broad strokes kind of, like, I know enough to get where this game's angling right now. Like, I'm not like Phoenix, who is like, what is this object you call a car? But I'm not much better than this. Like, I could name some of the car manufacturers, sure. But, like, you tell me, like, look at that car, what model is it? I can't, like, just look at something. Well, okay, like, the really obvious ones, like a Hummer or, like, a Jeep, maybe. But, like, if it's just, like, a regular sedan or a mid-sized SUV or a car, I couldn't look at that and tell you a make or model or any of that, or a year or something. I would need to actually look. I would need to look at the car and maybe see, like, the little thing that identifies it. Oh, that says Camry. I assume that's a Camry. It happens to say Toyota on it. The Toyota. That thing says Chevy. It's a Chevy. Etc., etc. What am I supposed to pick for a topic? Let's start with this. Why are British cars good? Like, huh? They're expensive? And their driver's seat is opposite to our cars here in the States. It would seem there is no benefit to owning one. Like, huh? This whole steering wheel on the right side thing, it's kind of goofy, isn't it? All four doors look the same. You? What do you know? That sleek shape, the purr of the engine, the well it starts, the rough manual transmission, the cool breeze, and the... Forgive me. Personality really changes at the drop of a hat. It's interesting, isn't it, Phoenix? Bit by bit, we're beginning to see the real contradiction behind this case. Something that... SE screenshot. Text box, okay. One of the things that they do... And I'm curious if... Maybe the Apollo Justice trilogy has this too. Did the Great Ace... I don't even remember if the Great Ace Attorney games... I think they might have had this. I think they did have this function. And I know that the Investigation game does too. Where it has the history button. Where you can, like... There's a button that puts and it just brings up, like, the last, like, 20 or 30 boxes of dialogue. This game, unfortunately, I don't think has that at all. Unless maybe it's just a button on here that's... Sorry, I hit the back trigger, and I didn't realize that the buttons and the triggers both activate it. It's not just LB, it's LT too, whatever. Eeny Meeny saying something in a Valley Girl voice. He kind of skipped through it by accident because he hit a wrong button like a dumbass. Was your sister good at driving? She was, like, totally awesome. She, like, said she was going to be the, like, racing queen of the nursing world. Somehow, I think she bumped my question off track again. Okay, she, like, would say things like, no way am I letting a noob drive my car. Anyways, later games in the series have a history button, and that's really nice when you get the people who will do this, where they'll read through the dialogue very quickly. Like, I don't mind that as a flavor choice when you're just doing it yourself, so you don't, you know, you're reading it. You can... Honestly, a Mach Speed Nurse sounds awesome. Well, maybe we'll do a modern set. No. I mean, you could do that in D&D. Just be a healer, but have a high speed set. I think you're attached to your gun guy, but I mean, you could do it in Terra Bancho Zero, I'm sure. I'm not sure how much I would like healing in that game, though. I don't mind the way it does healing. I think it's interesting, but it's definitely not one that feels as much. That's just the healer's kit rogue, isn't it? I think that probably is just a healer's kit rogue, really. So, like, that's why I ended up in the passenger seat that night, too. And that was when the accident occurred, correct? Like, yeah, I, like, immediately reached for the passenger side door and fled, like, in a daze.
Sounds like you had a terrifying time.
There is something very big here. It's going to be hard to break apart such a natural-sounding testimony. We have to attack it, and by doing so, a flaw will show itself. It has to. Do you really think so? Believe. There is a path. I know it. You almost sounded like a prophet for a second there. Total special model from England. No, I mean just like an F1 ambulance driver. You just heard to do without homebrewing back in legal proficiency in 5e. Yeah. That would work better in actually something like Cyberpunk. Like My Brain Goes to Shadowrun. Actually, I'm pretty sure... I don't remember how often we actually streamed our Shadowrun games. I think this one probably does have a very old VOD, maybe on Katie's NeoChick Twitch, or maybe on Sam's Tachi Glassbender. But we only did like 20 sessions of this, and it was one of those like, it was supposed to be like a backup game we could jump in if for whatever reason we didn't feel like running the actual game. So really scattered. It meant that everyone was basically relearning the rules of 4th edition Shadowrun, which I appreciate 4th edition Shadowrun, but it's like 4th edition D&D on crack. Like, it's even more extreme. So, a very bad system to jump in and jump out of and have to relearn months apart constantly. But it may be one of the... I've had those sort of backup games. I do enjoy them, I will say. Like, I think it's a pain to do. But there's something nice to constantly going back and struggling with the system. Because as much as you struggle with it, it also gives that a kind of weird identity. Fantastic mess, that's a great way of putting it. I bring this up, though, because it may be one of the earliest manifestations of my weird off-again, on-again prediction power. One of our early heists in the Shadowrun game, because it was a heist game, which Shadowrun usually is. You can play it more violent, but... I don't remember 4th edition Shadowrun being like 4th edition D&D. I think it was 4th edition Shadowrun I played. I only mean it's like 4th edition in the sense that it's like... It's a ton of bonuses and a ton of like really persnickety components going into it. Like, I don't mean like it's a D20 system, because it's still like... It's a D6 exploding dice pool system still. I just think it's very specific about things. You need to know, like, you probably should play it on like a grid of some kind because distances are very exact for weapons, etc. But we had to get into a hospital because Abby... She had this sniper who would eschew cyberware and everything. One of these early things, though, her character, he broke his leg. And we needed to get into... I think that was why we needed to get into the hospital, among other things. And we were going to try to steal stuff while we were there. So we were like, well, we need to get an ambulance. And I was the driver, and I would get these things. And I went on this, like, 1 minute... maybe a multi-minute tirade of how incredibly stupid it was for them to think like, what, I could just go into a random junkyard and find a functioning ambulance we could use. You wouldn't do that. You don't just find ambulances in junkyards. And then I rolled, and it was only like 6 or 7 dice pool. So it was like only like 6 or 7 d6s I was rolling, and I got like 5 or 6 that was a success. It was like a crazy good hit on a roll that shouldn't have done that well. And of course, this was Sam. Tachi, she was the one being DM. A lot of times in dice moments like that, she will just, you know, it's funny and it works and it makes the thing go, so she'll do the thing. So I had this, like, my character was just crushed because after giving this whole speech on how it would be the dumbest, weird thing to find an ambulance in a junkyard, I immediately found an ambulance in a junkyard we could use. And the kind of the fun little stories you get from fantastic mess backup games. But yeah, Darth makes the point too. Especially if you, given who runs the ambulance service in Shadowrun, yeah. Like, you really shouldn't find something there, but it was a perfect little early game moment. Okay. So, I think we have to do this here. She says she opened the right door and, like, got out. Doc Wagon is terrifying, by the way. Yeah, it's really messed up. There's some fun things to it, though, like if you think you need it and you want to try to afford it. But, like, the point here, right, is we're going to get the thing where, like, because of what this car is, she has some confusion over what side of the vehicle she got out because, spoilers, maybe she wasn't on the passenger side. Considering those ambulances are armored, probably armed themselves. Yeah, I think so. I think if you get it, especially, come with armed security, yeah. Don't ever fuck with them. Yeah, no, you really wouldn't want to. But it means if you've somehow afforded the contract with it, you should be good. It's probably got to be this, right? Got out the right door. This wouldn't be it. But what if I do anyways? I mean, it's a good idea. Like, in fact, that can be a great inciting incident. And, like, you're dealing with the repercussions for that for most, if not the entire game. Oh, these all sound that. Like, I feel like it's gotta be this newspaper clipping too, right? Because it's either that, or it's this. But this is the one we got that's new. Right? I'm gonna say it's gotta be this one. Objections. We never got to finish going on it, but one of the funniest things was in one of the last sessions of that. Where you have all this cyber tech booked with Doc Ragan. You, what? Oh, that was such a good moment in Heist. I don't even know. I wasn't paying attention to the stream. I don't know, Dill, if you showed that image for when you did that, but that was really funny. We just called the Archmage. Hey, we need to do something with the Book of Vile Darkness. What? Not on the stream, no. Okay. It was fun for us. One of the last things we did in that Shadowrun game is we were learning about Jade, her character's backstory. And it involved us having to break into dystopian cyberpunk Disney. And just we found out that in character, we just all had that perfect, like, oh shit, this is like the worst villain we could encounter. It was very funny. That's when my own dog wagon team showed up and they had a firefight between each other. So Disney then. Yes, except at Disney that would use lethal force. And not have to really hide it. Sorry, let me finish clarifying. Chris was never heard from again after this stream for some weird reason. Miss Meanie, do you remember this article? Disney then. Perfect. It's an article about the accident. You had said this in it. But I opened the right door and, got out. That's correct, isn't it? Why are you suddenly asking me about that? Your Honor, which side is the passenger seat? The left or the right?
Well, it's on the right side, of course, because the driver's on the left side.
That would be if it were an American car. But it would be the opposite in a British car.
Opposite?
The two of them were riding in a British car. In that case, the passenger side would be the left side. Ah.
What do you mean by this?
Miss Meanie, you said that you had escaped using the right side door of the car. But if you were sitting there, then that means you were in the driver's seat. Ah.
Order. Order in the court. Order. 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 Back.
Mr. Phoenix Wright is blabbering nonsense again. Eni said the driver who was driving was her older sister, Mimi Miney. That is what Eni said, yes. But that is where her story falls apart. Somewhere, all of us made a big error in our assumptions. Phoenix, looks like you finally found the real root of this murder. If we connect all the dots, there can only be one answer. I'd like to ask the court a question. Eni or Mimi? Who was really driving that night? Oh my god, this is amazing. Ah, I assumed Earth. Okay, you're looking at a dock wagon thing. From Dearth.
Super Platinum service is top of the line and costs 100,000 new yen a year. The benefits are similar to the Platinum service, except that the client does not have to cover death benefits and gets 5 free resuscitations per year. The Super Platinum contract also gives the client a life science biomonitor. Certain corporate security contracts also give the equivalent of Super Platinum service to its security guards at a reduced group price, paid for by the corporate bankroll.
It was reaching the point when I was considering in that game looking for one of those dock wagon things because we were in such danger. And that was, I think, before we got into Disney. So who was really driving that night? Now here's the question. We can probably say either, because the trick here, right, is that no, whatever, we'll get there, I guess.
Sorry, Darth is continuing. Support Operations Specialist. Occasionally an HTR team will encounter heavy resistance or extenuating circumstances when tasked with rescuing a high-profile client. This necessitates a
this is not a good...
a more aggressive response or greater tactical flexibility.
Oh no. In these situations, a support operations specialist or SOS team is dispatched to assist the HTR team. SOS teams are mission specific and highly variable. They range in size from a single individual to small teams of 4 or 5, sometimes more. An SOS team may include hackers, drone riggers, combat magicians, snipers, or specialized adepts. HTR is the security team. No, HTR is the security team sent with a dock wagon. Yeah. Well, that's the whole cyberpunk thing, right? You either have no healthcare, you need to go to illegal street doctors who will butcher you but maybe get you to be okay, or you have big corpo bucks. So if you fuck up big enough, you get snipers. I'm not actually sure. So, and wizards. Covering your ass as you get rescued. Because here's the thing. Ultimately, what we're going to do is we're going to say that Eenie right in front of us is actually Mimi. So actually, Mimi wasn't driving, it was and she... But does it want me to say it's Eenie right now, or should I say it's Mimi and then I explain that it was Mimi, but Mimi was not actually Mimi? Well, actually, you know what I mean. That it's Eenie is not Eenie anymore. It's whatever. I'm gonna say Mimi. The answer is the one person who had her driver's license, Mimi Meanie. After all, that makes her the only person who could legally drive.
But you just said the witness, Miss Itty Bitty, was the one in the driver's seat.
Which leads us to the next question. The next
question?
Who is the person standing at the witness stand right now? For the play game where you're just a dock wagon team. I'm kind of... I mean, there's like, what, 2 or 3 of the more modern Shadowrun games? I'm a little bit surprised I never did something like that. But that does sound fun. I'm also just jonesing for... Oh, I wish Trauma Team hadn't killed the Trauma Center series. I know Atlas wants the big Persona money all the time, and I'm gonna get the fantasy Persona that comes out in like 2.5 weeks. But I would like more games where I get to be an anime doctor. That's so wrong. Who is the person standing at the witness stand right now? This is a great kind of twist to have. Like, obviously, I think we've been able to put it together before now. But this is just great for, like, storytelling in these games in general. I think this is a good thing to feature in a turnabout. You know, most of the fun of Shadowrun is being the shadowy merc. I feel like a lot of fun of Shadowrun is around that. But that is the core thing that they try to pull people in. Just being people who get called out, deal with dog wagon calls could be fun. What sort of idiotic ruse is this, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? This witness's name is... I'll tell you what her name really is. This witness's real name is... Think of the fun toys you could actually afford. Holy shit. I did not notice that they made that worth like 4 health things. I guess they're like, if you get one, you can only pick one of 2 things realistically. And if you get it wrong, what are you doing? Mimi Miney. That is your real name. Of all the foolish dribble. Oh, I was about to make that a whip. This is actually an objection. Then how do you explain her appearance? This witness had severe facial burns when she was admitted into the hospital. So for the purpose of facial reconstruction, the surgeons used a picture. Facial reconstruction surgery? This is the picture she gave to her doctors at the time. That's right. It's a picture of her younger sister. Oh yeah, music's going.
No. But Mimi Miley, he died in a car accident.
That's what everyone thought. However, that was not the case. Then the body they found at the crash site. That was the body of the real Eenie Meenie. Isn't that right, Miss Mimi Miney? And yes, I know, I'm saying that last names differently. It's just gonna come with the names. I've given up. That car accident 1 year ago, the one who died that night was Eenie Meenie. Her sister, Mimi, then stole her face and was reborn as Eenie. With this, she effectively erased Mimi Miney from existence. Your Honor, I'm sure you can now see why Mimi had to kill Dr. Gray.
What do you mean? Ah!
What is the meaning of this nonsense? Dr. Gray wanted to call back the spirit of a dead person. Specifically, the spirit of his nurse that died in the crash, Mimi Miney. However, that would not have been possible, because Mimi Miney was still, in fact, alive. And that fact would have been discovered had the channeling been conducted. So this witness had to stop that from happening, at all costs. Also, because clearly we know that the crane spirit channeling technique works, right? But it's really funny to me that her motive is to hide it because it would have been exposed by a spirit channeler. You know, that thing that everyone goes back to, it's just as a hoax, but going back to Disney, I could see Doc Wagon's series of games just being an edgier version of In a Heartbeat. And best part, they make a corpse won't want to try to fuck with you because you're the people that come to save their lives when the shit goes south. Depending on how excessive you get, but a little bit, yeah. That could be interesting. We just need more Doctor games, clearly. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty in the indie scene. I'm not sure if their quality maybe, but at all costs. And that's why she had to kill Dr. Turner Gray? Is that what you're saying? Yes. The drive-thru RPG I go. Before the channeling, Dr. Gray had the misfortune of consulting this witness about communicating with the dead. And in that moment, his fate was sealed. All this crazy shit's happening, and the judge is like, look at how he is just out of it. But, it's okay, Judge.
Well, Miss Edie, I mean, Miss Von Karma.
Eek! Why did you say my name just now? Looks like I've been unmasked. Witness? That's right. I admit it. My real name is Mimi Miney. Judge,
I please just pet some peppers and buttons.
Phase anatomy. Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
That quack doctor, he got what he deserved in the end. And I was so close to finally ditching Mimi too. So close.
But why? Why would you go so far as to throw away yourself to become your own sister?
I think I understand why. Mimi Miney wanted her old self to disappear because of this. Probably the newspaper clipping? I mean, yeah, duh.
That's about the malpractice incident.
Dr. Gray was right. The mistake was caused by the nurse. A nurse by the name of Mimi Miney. That's right, the person standing before us today. The defense attorney's badge. And a few weeks after this mishap, Mimi Miney had a car accident in which she lost her younger sister.
The timing couldn't have been worse.
14 patients dying in that incident, and her own sister's life extinguished. It was all too much to bear.
I found a way for myself to escape it all. The only way.
She lost everything in the flames of that accident. Her sister. And even her own face. This was her last chance. Her chance to throw away her past and start a new life as her sister.
Unbelievable. A plan beyond my wildest imagination.
That jerk. If only he hadn't thought of that channeling mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo.
Becoming Eni has been the most horrible experience in the world. Spirit channeling, the occult. I hate it. I hate it all.
Well, you have bad taste.
I believe there are still a few unsolved riddles here, such as, why did Miss Mighty choose to go with such a complicated plan? And why did Miss Morgan Fay agree to help her execute it? Regardless, I believe one thing has been made crystal clear.
The innocence of the defendant, Maya Fay.
This is preposterous. I am perfect.
Oh no, she's having a cell moment, guys.
Me, Franziska von Karma.
I'm going to enjoy the news tonight, Miss Von Karma. How about you? It's going to be broadcast all over the world, right? Your defeat, that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
And one more for good measure.
I counted that right? That was 17 whips? Because 17, okay. 64, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. Oh, not 770, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Franny, the second you got into this courtroom, you abandoned perfection and entered a circus of silliness. Yup.
Phoenix, hang in there, Phoenix, Phoenix.
I wonder if this might be a Metal Gear reference. Wonderful news, your whip still works. It's Monty Python's Flying Circus. Oh, we'll get there.
This court is a fraud, a sham.
I mean, she's not wrong. But we did find out the truth regardless.
Now then, it looks like it will be some time before Mr. Wright regains consciousness. He got whiffed the fuck out. Jesus Christ. So I will go ahead and pronounce the verdict. Not guilty.
It's just Mia there because Phoenix is knocked out. They should have had a little Phoenix in the Yamcha pose right next to Mia.
That is all. This court is adjourned.
June 22nd, 3:13 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 3. Phoenix is being seen by Doc Wagon. Perfect, Darth. You brought it full circle. Congratulations, Maya.
Sis!
Aww. Right into the boobs. Right into Pearl's magic. Let's not think about it. This is a very touching scene. Let's not think about the weird aspect to it. This is still not the worst he's been injured on the job yet. And it will get even worse. It's good to see you, Maya. How are you doing? Okay, let's... No. I want to see... This isn't even for that, like... okay, yes, this is showing the boobs off more, but also it's not cutting off as much the fact that, like, Maya's having a big teary reunion. Like, good for Maya to get this moment. How are you doing?
Sis! I didn't kill anyone, did I?
No, you didn't. It was all just a dream. A really bad dream.
You know, sis, in my dream, I smelled a really familiar scent.
A familiar scent?
I was inside that clothing box, right? That box. That was the box you used to store your clothes in a long time ago.
That's right. Okay, now we can go back to not, the text box can give us some decency. There is still one thing I don't quite get. Also, ow! What's that? What would have happened if Mimi hadn't shot Dr. Gray? I mean, we broke in because we heard a gunshot. I think Mimi Miney had planned to open the door to the chamber herself. And then, you and Lotta would have witnessed quite a scene. A possessed Maya Fey who had just committed a murder. She had it planned down to the smallest detail, huh?
Nick!
Congrats, Maya.
Thanks. Looks like you bailed me out of another jam.
Well,
But I really don't want something like this to happen ever again.
Maya. Sweet baby girl. Sweet, innocent yardstick that we used to judge all teenage girls in the series, and also people accused of murder. This will not be the last time. I'm sure when they finally get around to making new Phoenix Wright games, or Ace Attorney games, you will find yet another way to be accused of murder.
I'm fine because I have you to help me out, Nick. But every time something happens, I lose someone special to me. It's honestly a miracle that in the Apollo Justice sequel trilogy, you didn't die. They just assassinated your character. First my sister, and now my aunt.
Actually, I guess in a meta sense, she does lose Phoenix in the fourth game. Because they make Hobo Wright replace him.
Hey Nick, tell me. Tell me why my aunt went and did something so horrible. Why would she help Mimi Miney with a plan like that? I just don't understand it, Nick.
Maya, it's over. Why don't we just let it be?
Nick, please, I need an answer.
She's a bitch? I mean, Dirth, yes. The reason Morgan helped Mimi with her plan was... Okay. Alright, I wanted to make sure we didn't have something for their mom, but it's... I mean, it's Pearl. She wants the world for her daughter. Even though her daughter loves her cousin Maya, like... I get why Morgan's the way she is. It's tied up with her own things. But there is something awful when, like, Pearl and Maya are basically sisters to each other.
Pearly?
4 years from now, a new master will be born into Crane Village. And that person will be you, Maya.
And?
But if you weren't there, then the main family's bloodline would disappear. And what would happen then?
The Branch family. My aunt.
No, Morgan's spiritual power is too weak. The next person would be Pearl's.
Ah.
Everything was done for her sake. It was also that Pearl's would become the next master.
Yeah. I can see that.
Did Maya say something just now? I think that she was saying...
I thought so?
Welcome to the Hyuga clan, Maya. You're not wrong. Wait a second. When did this game come out? Phoenix, Wright, Justice for All. No, I don't need a walkthrough up. I just need to know when it released. October 18th, 2002. All right. And because of other things, we've established the fact that it was the 25th year for anniversary for Naruto. So Naruto was 3 years old by that point, which definitely means all the Hyuga nonsense has already happened. Now, obviously, this is a general dynamic that comes up in tons of Japanese stories, but the Hyugas, at least Neji and Hinata's stuff would have definitely come up, I think, before then this came up. Actually, when was it released? That's just a release there. Oh, well. Oh, yeah, if you want to double check, because we're looking at like 120 or 30 chapters or so. Junior exams was 2000. I was looking along the same lines. I think that might have been enough time to even get through like the Naruto and Neji fight. Or maybe not. I'm trying to think of the break for then, but I think it's not as long as I'm thinking it was. Now I don't think the anime got that far, because there's always that delay too and all those things, but date and time unknown. Detention Center, Solitary Confinement Cell 13. 2001 was the Hyuga clan lore dump. Okay.
My precious Pearl, You are the only one suitable to be the master of Karain, dear child.
Anime got there in 2003. So isn't that funny? Obviously, as I said, this is just a general thing that happens. But like the notable, like in the manga you would have gotten this, and then the year after you would have the manga Hyugas. Then you get the Fey nonsense here, and then anime Hyugas.
I sacrificed it all for you. I helped that brainless nurse carry out her murder and cooperated with that whip-happy prosecutor. It was all to unseat that annoying, witless main family girl, that Maya Fey.
You are a bitch, lady.
But I shall be patient, my dearest Pearl. A chance will present itself. Your time will come.
Episode 2, Reunion and Turnabout. The end. Brand new episode has been added. Turnabout, Big Top. Purge the demon with cleansing fire. I know you mean Morgan Fay, but for many people, you also mean Turnabout, Big Top. All right. Well, especially during the second part of that, we had more of a discussion about some things too. But yeah, there we go. That was the second case done. It's a good one. It's a very good one. Obviously, it's still like an early case, so it's not super long. But in some ways, I feel like that's for the best, because sometimes like the really great cases also just go on very long. Like, case 4 in the first game is very good, but you start to feel it by the end. Case 5 is pretty good, but you definitely feel it by the end. But that one was also halfway designed to be just a complete standalone that they added to justify, hey, play this version of the game. But yeah. And this ends with a plot tease for the third game, because Morgan Fay does not come back again in this one. No, we have 2 standalone cases to wrap up Justice for All. And I say case 4 is a standalone. It's a standalone purely in the sense that like it stands on its own. It has its own, like, doesn't have any like build up to it. It's self-contained. Self-contained is a better word for it, because it does provide character growth for Phoenix and Edgeworth. Even if I think it's a little bit ham-fisted in things, but shouldn't she be executed? Well, she only assisted. She didn't actually commit the murder. I don't know what accomplice to murder in the Japanese legal system would get you. It's a good question. I think... See, the thing is, part of the reason why I'm revisiting these games too is it's been a while. I don't remember all the particulars always. Because as I said, she's a big part of the next game. Because part of the reason why these first 3 games are they're more justifiably a trilogy. There's some things that connect them. It's not a huge through thread, although the third game does the most. Oh, considering murder gets you dangling from a noose. But there's like some light things that they bring up that come from... They take small threads. Although this one's a pretty big one because it's a whole character to do that. But they bring it together in the third one. Which is slightly what they do in the Apollo Justice trilogy, but not really. But I mean, who knows if I'll ever even get that far. Who knows if I'll even do the third game. But I think that worked out pretty well. Basically, had a regular length stream from that. Don't need to turn about big top. Guess that'll be next time. But with that, it has been 3 hours. Should definitely wrap up. The evil has been slain. Eeny Meeny was defeated. Maya is off from another spurious murder charge. One of these days it might stick. Maybe if she actually kills someone, we'll see. I feel like she's had good reason to at this point. She's had a rough life. But